Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the Crop Top Cutie. Today I have a special guest with me, Viviana, one of my bestest friends, one of my oldest friends, one of my favorite people on the planet that I've known since middle school and I still can't say her name. I don't know if y'all are noticing, but every friend that I have on here, I never know how to say their name. That's like a whole consensus. But anyway, this conversation is going to be so good. I got me a spritzer. Say hi to the people, Viviana.
Hello.
So
I have
today we're going to be talking about forgiveness. Girl, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water in a mug.
Wow, I thought you had joined the Spritzer Club.
Girl, I got work in the morning.
Look, this is my nightcap. Some people have melatonin, I have spritzers. But
Yeah. No.
anyway, so today we're going to be talking about forgiveness. The reason I wanted to especially talk with you about forgiveness is I think that me and you have so many conversations throughout this year, especially with me talking about forgiving myself. And I thought that what better person to talk to than the person who was encouraging me to have moments of forgiveness and give myself grace. So I just want to firstly and foremostly say, thank you, girl, for reminding me to give myself grace. But also, I want to ask you, are there moments that you can remember in your dating life? Or what was the earliest time that you can remember in your dating life where you had to forgive yourself? I'll go first. I
Okay.
remember the first time having to forgive myself when I was in the second grade. The boy that I had the biggest crush on, the boy that I had the biggest crush on, he asked me. So like
Nah.
he asked me to be his girlfriend, and then the very next day, a new girl started school with us, and he also asked her to be his girlfriend. The very next day, from asking me to be his girlfriend, and he told me that he was going to be both of our boyfriends, and I was like, um, okay, I don't know if this is how boyfriend girlfriend work, but then by like day 4 or 5 of him having two girlfriends, he proceeded to tell me that I was not making the girlfriend cut because I did not give him my milks at lunch. And I was cut from being his girlfriend. So that's my youngest memory, most active memory of having to forgive myself for accepting less than I deserved. Because when I got home and I told my sister about what happened, she was like, and in the future, if a boy says you're going to be his girlfriend and someone else is too, cut him loose.
Good.
So, what is your most, I guess, strongest or youngest memory of having to forgive yourself for something that you allowed in your relationship?
Oh. Um. Listen, I'm gonna just say it. My first relationship was sweet. It was innocent. I have fond memories of that. Beautiful, beautiful little thing. Okay. But I remember having a conversation with him once about the fact that I wasn't being honest about who I was. Yes. And we were sitting in the parking lot of a God, what was that one? Borders, the bookstore? Yes, we're taking it way, way, way back. Borders, the bookstore. And I remember being like, hey, I'm really into like the music that we listen to, but I'm also Mexican and I Spanish music. And I feel like I haven't been honest, like I haven't shared that side of me. And he said, and I felt like I was gonna like let this guy down and he was gonna be like, "Oh God, she's gonna want to play banda," and like all this weird shit. I don't know, like yes. And so I was like sitting there super nervous, and I was like, I have to be honest. I like music in Spanish too, and just to be clear, I was dating a white guy, and um, I remember thinking, "Oh my God, like how is he gonna feel?" And which is the stupidest thing, but keep in mind, I was like 15, okay. um, I was like 15 or 16, and he was just like, I've always wondered why you don't play or why you don't really show me that side of you. Like I know you're Mexican and you speak Spanish with your family and you have that side, but you've never shared that with me. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And that's the earliest time I can remember of me just kind of putting on, I wouldn't say like a persona or anything like that, but me just kind of excluding a part of me um, because I didn't know how that person was going to react to it. Um, so I think that's one of my earliest memories.
I feel like a major thing that I've been doing consistently with this channel is like being reflective. But I feel like a major thing that I want to be honest with myself about is that I'm also trying to live in the moment. And I think a major thing that I've been trying to do with myself is forgive myself, not forgive someone else, but honestly just forgive myself for things that it's like that I accepted or things that I allowed or things that I was doing in quest of having love from someone else. Have you ever had experiences where you were just like, where your love or desire to be in a relationship or to be with a certain person overshadowed what you knew that you deserved or what you knew wasn't a good situation for you?
Yes. No, mine I think was a little bit, I think, first of all, I'd like to say, I'll preface this with I'm just a complicated person. I like to make things complicated for myself for some odd reason. Um, but yes, I was in a relationship with someone that really told me who they were, and it wasn't. We really shouldn't have been compatible. Like we were not compatible. There really was no reason for us to be in that relationship. But I truly convinced myself that that was as good as it was going to get, and there were some things from my past that I had never truly forgiven myself for. And so I convinced myself that what I was going through or what I was receiving was all that I deserved. And so, yeah, when I think back on it, it was kind of this complex, kind of a lot of weight that I carried with me from like past things in my life that just kind of built up to this big moment in a relationship where I just kind of took everything as it was given to me and I just didn't complain.
You know what's so crazy about you saying that is like I was recently in this therapy session and my therapist was saying like asking me why do I feel like I have passive aggressive behavior. And I feel like I feel like I've always had this internal worry like I don't want to let the other person down or I don't want to be a burden to others. And I feel like that was a major reason why in like my relationship I wasn't like a big complainer. I tried to like take things as they were, go with the flow. And it was like, I feel like it was hurting us both because it was like, this person was thinking, oh, you're okay with it, or you're willing to accept this thing. When in reality, I was so pissed. I was so angry. Like on the outside, I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. And on the inside, I'm like, you like so I really resonate with the whole like I'm not gonna complain mentality. What were reasons you felt like you weren't complaining?
Um, I think part of it is that I've always kind of felt like I'm responsible for other people's feelings. Like growing up, if I didn't want my mom getting mad. She had enough to worry about in her life, so I just tried to be the good kid, the kid that just kind of chilled out. I mean, I had a big ass mouth on me, like not gonna lie. My mom dealt with a lot with me because I did question a lot. But when it came to just our day-to-day activities, I tried to make things easier so that she wouldn't get upset. And when it was with my father as well, I just had to be the perfect child so that they wouldn't, they could just deal with what they were dealing with. And that just kind of trickled into my other relationships, whether it was honestly, even when I think back on friendships that I've had, um, there were some where I wanted them to feel happy around me, comfortable around me. So I kind of let them take the lead. And so in a lot of my relationships, I think just across the board, I I truly feel that I did truly feel that I was responsible for their feelings. And so I just tried to accept things as they were. Um, and if I don't complain, they won't get upset and they'll stay.
Oh my goodness, the if I don't complain, they'll stay. Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry this interview. I can already see it coming. Like, I'm gonna cry. I remember, like, towards the end of my situation, me being like, because it was like you know how you let something build up, you let something fester, and then eventually you blow up and you explode. And then it was like I felt like I was having a lot of explodes. Like, what is wrong with you?
It's yeah.
It's like I felt like that Beyonce song, "Why Don't You Love Me When I'm Making Myself So Easy to Love."
Yeah.
Like, and what was so crazy was it was like, I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, it was like, I felt like I was trying my best to think of how they were seeing me from their perspective and be that person or that version of myself that was pleasing to them, but not really pleasing to myself or like beneficial to how I felt or anything else. And so, like, as soon as you said the whole, I'm going to hold it together so they'll stay, girl, my eyes was like, I felt like thrown back into like January, February of 2021. And I'm like,
I think I think everyone wants to be loved, like, and I think when you have experiences in your life where you do go through abandonment, it kind of moves into other parts of your life. I really truly felt that all the anger that I felt and all the just like resentment that I held was their fault. And I had to come to this realization that I cannot convince myself. I'm not a mind reader. They're not a mind reader. I can't convince myself that they want me to behave in a certain way. Those are my ideas, right? And to a certain extent, they did. I mean, they allowed that, right? They almost encouraged it, my behavior, in the sense of don't complain, don't, they benefited from that.
girl, I was literally about to say, when it's
Yeah,
beneficial, why would they complain, sis?
benefit.
Because let me tell you, if you go to the store right now and they have free groceries for a month, even though the store is on the verge of closing down, you're not going to complain, like, let me contribute to the store. No, you're going to be like, let me get those free groceries.
While I can, right? Yeah. So I just, yeah, they held some responsibility, but I did too, and it took a lot. No, I wouldn't say it took a lot for me to understand that. I understood that I held a lot of responsibility, and I let a lot of the responsibility fall onto me. And so for a long time, I just kind of accepted everything as it was. And it wasn't until later on in my relationship with that individual that I was like, yeah, you don't have to accept this. I mean, this person told me who they were from the very start, and I just didn't want to listen because I was head over heels. And, but they also, I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, they led me on for a really long time. For a really long time. They really convinced me that when we were good, and we had a future. Knowing that I was never part of their future. And that to me, you know how they say, like, just let that happy girl be happy? Like, if you have no intentions of being in.
So I think that it's so interesting that you would bring up the whole, like the person led you on. I feel like it's interesting because to me, in my situation, I do feel like a lot of it was like me being led on. I feel like there was a lot of parts of the story when I look back on it where the person was like literally telling me like, it's probably not going to be a future. And I'm like, we will have a future and we are happy and we are in love. Like when we were good, we were great. And it's like, I think that a major thing that it was like, I think that a major part of my forgiveness comes in with like, not just this person leading me on, but I feel like me leading myself on. I think that I was like very much so leading myself on because like I had the ideas of love and I had these ideas of happiness in the future that I created. And this person was just like a character in that fantasy that I had for life of my life. So I feel like I had to forgive myself for those choices.
When that relationship ended, I spent like 2 years beating myself up for having accepted that. And it took a long time for me to be like, hey, you went through it, but you gonna be all right, kid. You know what I mean? Like, I shamed myself for so long and I really convinced myself for a really long time that I was a bad person and that I hurt people and anything that anything bad that happened to me, I deserved it.
How do you get to a place of letting go of the shame? I think that like what's so amazing about me going on this self-care journey is I feel like, and I'm very intentional about calling it a self-care journey because I feel like a major part of self-love is being able to care for yourself and not put that responsibility on anyone else but yourself. And I feel like a major part of this journey for me has been really wrapped in a lot of shame, which is why I decided to make it a public thing, which is why I decided to invite my friends and everyone else to join the conversations about love because I feel like in the early stages of this, I remember just so much of my like everything being so wrapped up in shame. Like I don't want anyone to know that I'm going through this, and I don't want anyone to know that this hurts as much as it hurts. And like I remember feeling so much shame and embarrassment around the whole ordeal. And even now, I feel like pieces of my story, especially when I'm like blogging and I'm writing my like weekly conversations, I feel like something that I really, really struggle with is like so much of my dating history I carry with shame, not just with this person, but even in like my talking stages with previous people, I feel like I'm like, wow, I'm never going to tell anyone I did that. Or, oh my goodness, no one can ever know that happened.
I'm taking what I learned from that experience and I'm allowing that to come with me to other parts of my life, in my career choice, in my education, in my financial plans. Yeah, I mean, even just with, well, I won't go into that, but yeah, I mean, I, I don't know.
It's so amazing you would say that you're allowing this like forgiveness to yourself to go with you in other situations because I think about like even accepting jobs after I graduated from college. I'm like, okay, this is just going to be temporary. But then years of my life pass and I'm like, oh my goodness. Or like just doing things like in my friendships or in other relationships where it was like I was pushing my boundaries to be a part of something that I wasn't necessarily wanting to be a part of.
Mhm.
I think that it's so amazing when you can have that care for yourself and it not just be for a romantic situation, but it can be for every part of your life. I feel like self-care doesn't just is it can't be in one place if it's genuine.
Mhm.
Self-care has to be overall. It has to
Mhm.
be all encompassing. And that's something that I'm really trying to challenge myself to do because I feel like in my professional life, I'll be thriving. In my friendship groups, I'll be thriving. And then it's like those other areas, like, oh, no, I'm there. I know I'm thriving, but I'm there. So I've been trying to challenge myself to like take that same confidence, take that same passion, that same drive in every sector. Not just to
Mhm.
be like, oh, I can only be passionate here. I can only be confident here. I'm like, everybody gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean, that was like something that I had to look at because I was like, why am I so happy and confident in my job, but not in other aspects of my life? Like, why can't, like, what kind of switch is going off when I walk in through a hospital door that things just change? You know what I mean? Like, how do I channel that energy? And I remember thinking to myself one day, like, when you walk through that door and this happens, try using that over here. And I did sometimes, but then I was like, all right, chill, dude. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, I mean, those are even conversations that I've had with my fiance, you know, in moments when I have felt really insecure or, uh, kind of clingy. Um, I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta remind myself, this is not who I am in other parts of my life, okay? Like, this is not who I want to be in this part of my life either. And so, yeah, just kind of it, whatever, if you're struggling in one part of your life, you're gonna struggle. It's just gonna bleed into other parts of your life.
So that was all the questions that I have for you today. Is there anything else you want to say or anything else you want to share with people about your experiences and ways that you're learning to forgive yourself?
Listen, yeah, I'm just sensitive, okay?
I'm a sensitive gangster, like Cardi B. I'm a sensitive gangster and I don't give a fuck. Thank you guys for tuning in to another installment of The View from Here as we continue to explore ways to forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. This is the Crop Top Cutie and Viviana.
Goodbye. Good evening.
All right, guys. See you next time.
All right, girl.